What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Team Chat Podcast, a video game show. I'm one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined to my right by Rachel Mogan.
Buongiorno, and happy Lunar New Year.
Hell yes. Woo! By the time this is out, it's already been, the time has come, it has passed, and we are in the new Lunar Year, the year
of the snake. I'm
Exciting
a snake, which I've actually heard is bad luck. Like, if it's your birth year, it's apparently not very lucky for you, so I've really got to, stick to wearing red, because that's the luck color.
That's the luck color?
So I got to keep the bad luck away. I'm going to be out here Wonder Woman pinging it right off of me.
Well, very good. Hopefully the year will not hold bad luck for you. You've already got the red on today. You're doing well.
Yep,
and it's in the scarf, too, so you're perfect. You're really bundled up with the red.
I just got to get some pants.
Just a red suit. You're just Santa Claus all year round.
Just get a nice, crisp red women's pantsuit, and I'll be good to go. People will be like, wow, you've really become a Republican. And I'll be like, oh, no.
No, this says the wrong message.
I take up wearing those annoying little American flag pins on my lapels. You'll be like, Mogan, you've changed.
I feel like this is a dark turn from you that I'm seeing.
I'll be like, you don't understand. It's just to keep the bad luck away.
I feel like you're inviting it, but whatever. But you know what? Can't look like Santa all year round, but you can talk about video games all year round. So that's what we're here to do today. And we have a big, fun, exciting topic for you coming up today, because I'm going to be talking about my time in Bloodborne and giving my full review of that. I know we've talked about it. I've talked about it a little bit before in my wrap-ups and our year in review and all that jazz, but I still felt the game played a significant part of my gaming year last year, and I felt like it deserved to have its own episode.
And your overall quest with Bloodborne has actually been quite lengthy.
Yeah.
So this is like the end of a saga for you.
It really
so
is.
We should talk about it.
And who knows? Maybe the saga won't be over forever, because there is
because
Bloodborne
in one
DLC.
day, I was going to say, every time we do stuff like this, the very next day they announce the remaster.
That's
so
true.
it's
So maybe, everyone, this could be the greatest gift to all Bloodborne fans the world over, that we talk about it today. They announce, hey, Bloodborne 2 coming out tomorrow. And hey, what's this? Next week, Bloodborne Remaster. So who knows? Maybe it'll happen.
Instead, we're going to get a shadow drop from whoever the fuck, Bethesda. And they're going to be like, good news, everybody. We are remaking Skyrim once again.
Everyone, mark your calendars, because it's coming out on February 1st.
We will get a 50th Skyrim before we ever get Bloodborne remastered.
Or Silksong, or Metroid. Is that the Metroid Prime 4? Is that the other one that we're all waiting on for a very long time?
Maybe coming out this year. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed on that one. But before we get to all that goodness, let's talk about a little bit of news and what's coming out soon in our Moment with Mogan.
We do have lots of news to cover, so I'll make the list O games pretty quick here. At the end of this month, January 30th, Hello Kitty Island Adventure is out for PC.
Hell yeah.
It was already out for the Switch, but you PC players out there, you can now also enjoy the Hello Kitty goodness. And then in February, on the 4th, we've got Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
I forgot that was already
so already
early.
here.
Holy crap.
That's for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. On the 11th,
Civ 7.
On the 11th, we've got... Why aren't they releasing it on the 7th?
Good question.
It's a Friday. The 7th is a Friday.
Okay, but still, that's perfect.
Why not?
Yeah, it's literally the first Friday of February.
Maybe we can still convince
opportunity.
them. All right, but anyway, Civilization 7 is out for PC, Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S on February 11th. Getting us into the middle of the month, we've got Urban Myth Dissolution Center for PC on the 13th. And then just in time for Valentine's Day on the 14th, we've got Date Everything, which...
That just sounds like
sold.
a good time.
That's coming out for PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and the Switch. What a nice, even spread for all of the PC players and console players out there.
Hell yeah.
So it's a pretty slow month to start off, but then in the second half, it gets a little bit more stacked.
Kicks off. Also, speaking of Switch, I don't think we've actually talked about it here on the show yet, but Switch 2.
Switch 2.
Isn't that exciting, everybody?
We didn't really talk about it much because in the Discord, we've been talking about the leaks for so
That's true.
long that when they finally officially came out with that little super small announcement, it was like, oh, yeah. Like everybody already knew.
It's here.
We just
now we
didn't
actually know what it looks
say
like.
so. Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Neutral. Much like with any new console release, it is most likely not going to be a day oneer for me unless a game I really, really want that is exclusive to the new Switch is coming out at the same time.
Do you think that's Metroid Prime 4?
God, maybe. I don't know. I feel.
I mean, that would be. I don't know. I guess
Because if
Metroid
that's
is
the
a
case,
pretty.
the answer is a definite yes.
Yeah, and Metroid though, I don't know. Do you, as a Metroid fan and having played so many games of the series, do you think Metroid has the pulling power to be like a launch title?
I don't think Nintendo would choose it. I feel like if they were going to do a launch title for a new upgraded version of the Switch, they would probably play it safe, like they kind of always do. Nintendo isn't exactly big fans of taking massive risks with their IPs. I feel like it would be a new Mario IP or, I don't know, new Animal Crossing. It's actually been a while. It's only been 5 years. A new Animal Crossing is not coming out yet. But my answer is no. I don't think Metroid Prime 4 would be the launch title to go with the Switch 2.
It honestly probably will be from that like announcement trailer that they showed off, and it does hint at a new Mario Kart.
Yeah, it hints at
probably
one.
is going to
So
be
I
Mario
feel like
Kart.
it's going to be a Mario one.
Which wasn't 8 Deluxe a launch game for the first Switch?
No,
Yeah,
8 Deluxe was for the Wii U. Oh, excuse me, Mario Kart 8
but
was from the Wii
Deluxe
U, but Deluxe was with
for the Switch,
Yes,
right?
that's
okay,
correct.
because I was about to say, I'm pretty sure that was the first game I got for
New
it.
Mario Kart makes perfect sense. I mean, that's a pretty
Yeah.
safe option for Nintendo, so I feel like
Definitely so.
I very much think Prime 4 is going to be a Q4 release. Personal prediction.
Nice. And as for me, I honestly am kind of neutral on it as well. More so because I think my thoughts on the Switch overall have somewhat cooled. Like, I still use it, but I have not used it in the last year near as much as I did in the past. And so I kind of feel like it'll be the thing I know it's going to have, the new Switch will have backward compatibility for most Switch games. I'm assuming any mainline Nintendo game is going to be fine. And so I'm wondering how much there is going to be the back compatibility in the terms of like the new releases being able to be played on Switch 1.
Ooh.
If that's able to carry over for a little bit, I'm definitely going to hold off just because I'm going to probably just wait until my Switch dies. Or I guess I could trade in that Switch to get the Switch 2, but it will kind of depend on what all those are worth, because mine is a like base model Switch, so it's
now that I think about it,
probably not going to get a ton for it.
So my main Switch that I use is my OLED Legend of Zelda edition.
Oh yeah,
I'll never trade that in.
Of course
ever.
It's a special edition.
I guess I just sort of slipped my mind that I also still own my original Switch.
Oh,
so maybe that feels like actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah, you should just trade that in and put it towards the new one. So it's definitely not something like the PS6 would be, where I'm like,
PS6.
Tell me all about it, kind of thing. But still excited to see what it will bring. If it does have bring the power that Switch fans are really looking for. I think that was honestly my biggest problem with it. I liked it, but it felt very limited to the games that I could play on it. Unless I was in docked mode, which I honestly was never in that much, unless I was playing like Mario Kart, Mario Party, stuff like that.
Meanwhile, I'm always in docked mode, which is hilarious because I have an OLED and it's like I never get to see it because I'm always in docked mode.
You know what? I'm realizing now as we sit here, I've committed an oopsie, a podcasting faux pas.
Oh my God, what? Oh,
the bad luck has already hit us.
No.
Your rent is doing nothing. I forgot the rest of the introduction.
Well, it's helping me. It's not helping you. Hang on, we gotta back up.
So rewind, everybody.
We'll just cut the real opening in and
it's
do it
fine.
like.
We're gonna roll with it this
you want to do it really? Hang on, I'll do the thing.
And you can watch new episodes of Team Chat Podcast on podcast services around the World Wide Web, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and others. You can also watch a video version of each episode over on our YouTube channel. Links for all that are in the description below. You can find us on social media at Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and we have a Discord server that you can join where we have a lot of great conversation when we're not here recording the show. And finally, if you would like to help make the show bigger and better, well, there are a couple of ways that you can do that. One, you can head over to patreon.com/Team Chat Podcast, just like Allison H, Ark, Brandon W, Bro Mogan, Super Saiyan Ace, Erica L, Elise F, James K, Michael B, Michael S, Snooty Boots, Susan M, and Zach S have done. They've gone to patreon.com/Team Chat Podcast, and for as little as $1 a month, they have supported the show, and in return, we give them cool perks, like getting the episodes early before their general weekly release, access to a private channel on our Discord server, the Rogues Gallery, and for the $5 tier, you get early access to our subsidiary show, Team Chit Chat, where Mogan and I talk about things not related to gaming. So all that is a great way you can do that. There's also another way that you can financially support the show, and that is through merch. We have a merch store, and you can go to tpublic.com/store/team-chat-podcast. link below that you can click on, easy peasy. But you can get shirts, you can get hats, some stickers,
Tank
mugs, tank tops, all that jazz. So if you want to look fly and some really cool Team Chat shit, go check it out. So that you can support the show in doing that. But of course, there are free ways that you can support the show by telling your friends, writing us reviews, subscribing wherever you're listening to or watching the show, and just commenting and just being here. That helps the show get out there. The word of the Team Chat podcast get out there to the masses. And for that, we're eternally grateful and thankful to each and every one of our viewers, listeners, and patrons alike. Heart emoji.
Heart emoji.
Smooches. Now back to the show. Okay, so anyway, so those were all the releases and things coming out soon. There was also a very exciting developer direct put on by Xbox, highlighting within the last week. I believe this was on looking for the date, January 23rd of 2025. A quick little developer direct showing the progress or where they were at, little updates of some upcoming Xbox Microsoft releases. And hot damn, there's only like 4 trailers.
But 2 of them are 2 big ones for us personally.
Well, honestly, all 4, I could see myself playing. But so we just wanted to really quick go over these, talk about our initial impressions of them and the excitement, because we're getting some firm release dates for all of these games.
Finally.
And that's very exciting to see. So first one up, Doom the Dark Ages, which, oh my God, Mogan.
New Doom.
This looks incredible.
Yeah.
Mostly because of its seeming hard turn into more of like medieval horror Doom. It's awesome. You have a bladed saw shield. You have a flail. You have a mace. You fly on a dragon.
Very
techno dragon.
Everybody
at one point.
loves
And
dragons.
it looks like maybe like Doom Hell Space Pirates. There's like some huge boat flying around. You get to fight in a Doom mech against like a giant demon creature. It looks incredible.
It looks pretty amazing.
I mean, the soundtrack sounded great too. Obviously, it's the same hack 'em, slash 'em, blast 'em action of Doom that we've seen in the revamped Doom and Doom Eternal. So I am hyped. And it's coming out May 15th.
May 15th, final release date.
All right.
Oh, in other more important news, personally, than not to play favorites.
I mean,
but,
this is the one that I'm most excited about,
and
I
this
think.
one, I can't believe it's coming out so soon.
Yeah.
So they gave another trailer and a final release date of April 8th, 2025 for South of Midnight.
And this is one of those things, the more I see about this game,
Oh, it looks so good.
the more I love it
actually,
already.
I watched about 30 seconds of this latest trailer,
Yeah.
and then I went, I do not need to see more. And in fact, I don't want to see more
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I want to preserve the experience. So I hit pause and I went, great,
Nicely
April
done.
8th, put it in the calendar.
Day
Unfortunately
one
for
purchase.
me,
Yeah,
it's
how
only
are we gonna
coming
play
out for
this?
Xbox. Oh boy.
You know what? It is coming out for Xbox, but it'll be on PC. We'll figure that out. We'll figure out a way for us
You
to be
let
able
it
to
be
play
your
it.
Xbox.
Because we're gonna be playing this because this game, just like the art style of it, the
it
like
looks
stop motion,
incredible.
claymation almost look to it, looks so good. Just the monsters, the design of everything in it, the voice acting sounds great so far. The song that they used for the trailer from this direct was so good too, and I hope is like at least a hint of some of the music and stuff that we'll get in the game itself. But my God, it looks really good.
It didn't get a ton of press like back when it came out, but if you remember the Netflix movie Wendell and Wild, which was a stop motion kind of like horror but good for kids film, the style that they used in Wendell and Wild, like South of Midnight, is very reminiscent of that for me, but like grown up, elevated, and it just looks incredible.
It does.
I like this might. I mean, I don't want to say it because I feel like it's jinxing it. The red, I just gotta Wonder Woman the bad luck away. But I feel like if they really pull off South of Midnight, it could wind up potentially being Game of the Year for me.
It looks really great. It also, like gameplay wise, looks really kind of in the same style of Kena Bridge of Spirits.
Yeah,
and
looks
so
classic.
Like that
Classic
game was
gameplay.
fantastic too. So seeing all that same gameplay kind of come over to this has got me excited. So
And
South
April
of Midnight,
8th.
April 8th. See, okay,
God,
so
the
we're
first
already
half of
looking
the
at
year.
We've got because January, was there anything? I know there was like the Donkey Kong game for Switch, but I don't think there was anything like immediate, like huge in January for me. But February, there's Civ. Oh, well, Jedi Power Battles. That's right, in January.
Of
then
course.
there's Civ 7 in February. End of February is Monster Hunter Wilds.
Oh my God.
Then March is Split Fiction.
Split Fiction.
Then April, South of Midnight. May, Doom Dark Ages.
And then also
Coming in April.
These people are killing
Jesus
me.
Christ.
So launching, I'm going to be fucking broke as hell in April.
God damn.
So April 24th, Claire Obscure Expedition 33 is launching, and I believe it will launch for Xbox, PC, and I believe PS5.
Will it?
When I looked it up on the Google, it
it
said it
does
was
say it?
also for PS5.
Okay, this
So
one's only this site is only saying Xbox and
now,
Windows.
this
but
is
we'll see.
news.xbox.com. So
That's
they
true.
are a bit biased, but I think Expedition 33 is also a PS5 title, which please, dear God, let that be true because I also really want this game.
This game looks interesting to me. Like, of the four here, it's probably the one that is a little bit the lowest one on the list, but it still looks interesting. Like, I'm scared because of the turn-based RPG.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
That kind of like turns me away a little bit. But the combat, but the combat of it from this trailer looks so fun and like
just
a
looks
good,
good.
clean mix. And yeah, again, the world looks great. The art style looks fantastic of this game as well. It looks really cool, but I worry that the gameplay of it might turn me away.
See, I feel like I am in the perfect position for this game to like really hit hard for me because I really haven't gotten into a turn-based RPG since I finally finished Octopath Traveler 2.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got like a hole in my heart where this game could perfectly fit.
That's true.
So fingers crossed that it is actually for PS5 because I need to play it very quickly.
Yeah. It kind of looks like, I guess, a turn-based combat system mixed with maybe, again, having not played, but just visuals alone. It looks like kind of a mix of like Final Fantasy 15, 16 style combat mixed with more turn-based systems. So that could be interesting to see.
Maybe this information is already out there and we just don't know it, but I want to know it's so we still have months before it releases. I hope when it releases, they also release a demo.
Yes.
Because I feel like this is the kind of game
I
that
will
could really
need a demo.
benefit from a demo.
I agree. But
South of Midnight, we don't need a demo.
no,
We
that's
already
just a
know
day one
It's
buy.
just going to be a day one.
And then the last game on here, which actually doesn't have a release date, just a released window of fall 2025, is Ninja Gaiden 4, coming out for Xbox, Windows, Steam, PlayStation 5, and play it day one with Game Pass. This one, I watched the trailer for it. I haven't played any of the Ninja Gaiden games before, but it does look like it's going to have some really sick combat, which does, of course, interest me, especially. I know it's not a Soulsborne type game, but still with a more combat focused, the timing, the parries, the dodges, all that jazz. It looks like a good time.
And so one of the things
Pretty
that people
visceral
are,
action, too.
yeah. Speaking of visceral action, I think a lot of that is coming from the fact that Team Ninja partnered up with Platinum Games for Ninja
Yes,
Gaiden 4.
yeah.
Ninja Gaiden 4. So if people are looking like, hey, wait a second, that looks like those other Platinum games I've seen out there, that's probably why.
Yeah.
Which I feel like what a great collab. That feels like a great partnership
For sure.
to me.
So, I mean, the combat of it and the gameplay, this one does intrigue me, but again, kind of like the same thing. Like, I need to.
We
it's
got
not
other
like a huge
stuff
list.
to
There's
play.
so much other stuff coming out. And then the last big news from this was that also they did, you love to see it, a shadow drop, even when it's a game we can't
Love
play.
to see it.
Ninja Gaiden 2 Black has been released, which is a graphic remaster of Ninja Gaiden 2. So, that was all the updates from the Xbox developer.
Also,
Direct.
a good idea to release Ninja Gaiden 2 Black to like build hype
For
the
sure.
release of Ninja Gaiden 4. So
yeah,
good timing on
that
their
was
part.
that was a good move
Yeah.
on their part. But all right.
Also, Ninja Gaiden 2 has a character named Rachel.
well,
A
there you
rare
go.
shout out. That doesn't happen often.
like this, engage in relentless combat and play as additional characters Mojimi, Ayana, and Rachel.
just Rachel. And here comes Rachel. She's a normal white woman.
dressed in red with a red scarf.
for a red scarf.
To ward away the bad luck.
Cozy on a damp day.
Tripped on her first step into the battlefield.
She's on her way to the coffee shop. Is she here for combat? No, thank you.
No,
Going right
thank
past
you.
it. Goodbye.
No need for that. Rachel has no time.
Oh, boy.
But that is neither here nor there.
no.
Because it is time to talk about Bloodborne. And where to even begin? I don't know where to begin. Because I feel like that's how I literally walked into this game. Like,
So for the first,
Sure.
remind me when the first time you tried, because you tried Bloodborne once before. I feel like years ago.
Well,
and
technically it was
didn't
Dark
stick.
Souls.
Oh, it was
Dark
Dark
Souls. Those are the only. Dark Souls was the only
Okay.
FromSoft game, that a Soulsborne game that I had dabbled in before, and I maybe played 5 hours.
Okay, gotcha.
And immediately was like, this is not for me. I don't understand what I'm doing. This combat is ridiculously harder than anything I'd ever tried doing before. And I also think it fell into the same trap of like Breath of the Wild for me.
Not enough
Not enough direction, and just kind of like, what the fuck am I doing?
I get it.
And so I kind of fell off of that and didn't really feel the need to go back to the Soulsborne game. But then things change, time goes on, Elden Ring comes out, and everyone gets hyped for that. And I think, and then I play games like Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, and I think maybe I could give a Soulsborne game a shot again. So I did turn to Bloodborne because, you know, in our Discord and everything, talking with everybody pretty much agrees it's either Elden Ring or Bloodborne. If you want to take one of these two on, I already had Bloodborne. So, you know, trying to be that hashtag gamer on a budget, went with that one. And I then decided, well, the best way to do this is not to just play Bloodborne on the comfort of my couch in the quiet and seclusion of my own home. No, I need to stream it and let everyone see my struggles and failures. And so
Very entertaining.
it was very entertaining stuff. But also at the same time, I didn't know what to expect. I knew that, like, I knew what to expect in terms of like, it's going to be a hard grind. There's going to be difficult bosses. I'm really going to have to learn the combat.
There's gonna
take
be
my time with it.
gross-looking enemies.
There's going to be gross looking enemies. And, you know, but I wasn't really sure what the story was. I wasn't really sure what, you know, I wasn't really sure with its game. And so I wanted to really try it out, but I honestly had the thought of like, I could start this again and just not be in it. But I have to I was then, you know, not pleasantly surprised, but like I did actually fall in love with it. Yeah. And I did think that I made me fall in love with Soulsborne FromSoft games to the point where I'm now like, okay, what's going to be the next one? Like when is the next one? And the next time one of these FromSoft games does come out, I'm like, day one, let's go. Let's get in on this. I don't want to be behind.
About how long into Bloodborne did it take you to feel like you were really in it? Like you were in it for the long haul? Because I feel like you played it over a very long period of time.
Oh, I did.
And part of that obviously came from the streaming.
Yeah,
because not
I
everybody
didn't want
can
to
stream
advance
all the
when
time.
I wasn't on stream and all that stuff, so people could see the whole playthrough. The only time I didn't stream was a couple times I just had to farm blood vials and stuff like that. For
Classic.
Help. And so, you know, I just did that a little bit off stream because I didn't want to just be boring because I'm just running the same route in Old Yarnum again.
Little do you know, many people love that kind of crap.
I guess so. Just, you know, have some chill conversation with chill activities going on. But still, yeah, I think I started it in late February, I think, of last year was my first stream, and I didn't finish it, I think, until December, November, I want to say.
So almost a full year
Almost a full year later.
Bloodborne.
And it was about, I think, a 40-ish hour playthrough all said and done.
Wow. Yeah, so really drag that 40 hours out.
I
Damn.
did. I mean, because I was only doing like an hour and a half at a time streams and stuff like that.
And sometimes multiple days of that stream would be versus the same
boss. Exactly. So you ask when I really fell in love with it, and also this is also an obvious entry into our late to the game series of reviews because this game is now almost 11 years old.
We love being late to the game here at Team Chat.
I mean, that's the best part about this. Again, it's that hashtag gamers on a budget. We have to talk about the old stuff that we are just now rediscovering as well as the new stuff that we're playing alongside everybody else. And so I really think, though, that I fell into Bloodborne and was like, okay, I'm going to stick with this after I beat Father Gascoigne, who was the second boss of the game.
I recall the struggles, Jerrett.
I
didn't see all the struggles, but I saw enough of them.
Yeah. And so, you know, here's the thing too, because with that, like he was an incredibly hard boss. And I feel like people who were in the chat were like, okay, he is like a skill challenge check to see like, are you going to make it?
He's the toll taker.
He really is.
He's the girl boss gatekeeper.
Yes, because the first boss that you do come up against, the cleric beast, I believe, you know, I fought him and beat him. He took me a few tries, and I think on the turn that I actually beat him, I had summoned, I want to say actually the spirit of Father Gascoigne to help me beat him, because each boss of Bloodborne has that option. There's like a little, like the messengers, the little like creatures who, you know, you leave notes and stuff like that with. They pop up outside of the boss areas and you can summon like a helpful spirit basically to help you fight the boss. I didn't know that was happening. Cause again, the Bloodborne does kind of throw you in and be like, figure it out. Good luck.
It'll tell you
We'll
some
see you at the
stuff.
finish line, but not really.
Not a lot.
It really doesn't tell you much at all. And we'll get to that in a second. But anyway, so I fought that, discovered that like, oh, I didn't really mean to bring in this helper to fight this boss, especially it being the first boss. And I was like, immediately from that, I was like, I don't want to do that. No matter how hard it is, I don't want to like immediately be like, well, I got to beat this game by calling in this guy. Just the personal like challenge I wanted to put to myself for this. So Father Gascoigne was the first boss of really fighting him 1v1 without the help of a spirit companion or anything like that. I did have a ton of help in the chat, I will say, with like from like James K, Snooty Boots, your brother, and stuff like that.
Old bro
Like,
Mogan.
just, you know, giving me the hints and the tips and being like, you know, management of stamina and all this jazz. I didn't listen, but it's still, you know,
Did
made for
listen
an
the whole
incredible
game.
experience. But so after, and there was a point of fighting Father Gascoigne that I was like, nope, I'm not going to do this. It's like, I just, the frustration builds to a point where it's just like, especially like the third, fourth attempt of doing it, not like attempt in the game, like stream attempt of beating Father Gascoigne. I was like, this might not be it. You know, just sometimes a genre doesn't click and it doesn't stick with you. And you're just like, that's fine. I gave it a shot.
And speaking of being gamers on a budget, we are also on a budget of time.
Well, yeah, we have jobs,
We are
we
aging
have-
gamers.
We have
stuff
other
to do.
responsibilities.
And sometimes you just have to look at your options and go, is this worth the time investment?
Exactly.
And sometimes it's not.
And sometimes it's not. But just in the nick of time, I was able to beat him. And doing that, I hadn't got this satisfaction from Cleric Beast because I had had that help. But Father Gascoigne doing that and beating him, you just get this wave of euphoria, of accomplishment, of thrill. And you're just immediately like, let's fucking go again. And it just like
boy.
immediately just tapped in to what makes these games so great and so addicting to the fan base. And I immediately got it. And from then on, I was like, yep, I understand there are going to be points to this where it's going to be hard and I'm going to be stuck and I'm going to have to do the same thing over and over again to get past it, you know, trying out different ways, hopefully. But that's just what this is. And I hadn't really taken on that challenge. Last year was also trying out new things in games. I again took on the challenge of Mortal Kombat Tekken. We've talked about that. So like doing this also was like a really breath of new fresh air to my gaming. So
Yes, our new game, Blood of the Wild.
yes. So with all that being said, beating Father Gascoigne, I was like, I understand it. I completely agree and see what everyone sees in these games. Let's get it. Let's get into Bloodborne. And so from then on, I was hooked and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be finishing this
Nice.
game. But yeah, there weren't times that had I still had hair, I wouldn't have been pulling it out. You know, I would just been out of pure frustration.
Man,
and
good
that's
thing you
honestly,
don't. Gosh, what a boon.
but that's honestly though too why my streams are only like an hour to an hour and a half, because after that point I was like, this is going to have diminishing returns from this point on. I have fought for too long. My fingers are tired.
My blood pressure is high.
And my reactive time is just not there anymore. And you just have to like call it quits and just know when to throw in the towel for the day. But all that to be said, let's talk about Bloodborne. Let's talk about its story. And here it is. What the fuck?
I was about to ask, you know, you mentioned the story a little bit earlier, and I would be like, okay, now that you finished the game, do you
I still
get...
have no idea what that
Okay,
game was
that's
about.
fine.
I had to go back and I had to look at Wikipedia's, you know, I had to look at story synopsises and all this stuff to make any kind of sense to the story.
You should just like the joke in Soulsborne is just go to YouTube and look up any Vati video because he like that's his whole jam.
It's just the lore and the
is
story and the
lore
backgrounds.
videos about anything in the Souls verse. You could
I will
say.
have to check that out
So
then.
I'm sure he's got like 1,000 all about like everything related to Bloodborne. The most niche characters, and you're like, who? Did
Yeah.
I even encounter that character? So if you need a good story synopsis, go look up a Vati video.
Okay, I'll have to do that for Bloodborne for sure. But that's what I was having to do. And honestly, it was one of those things with this game. I had to just kind of put out of my head that like, this isn't going to make any sense. And honestly, that's the thing with other games. Because we've talked about this, I feel like, with other gaming genres. If the story's not there for me, the gameplay can be fun, but if the story's not there with these single player games, usually I'm kind of like, it's all right, and it'll kind of fizzle out. But I think this is one of the rare instances for me where the gameplay and the level of depth that is, and the level of focus that requires, outweighs the shortcomings of having a, frankly, ununderstandable story.
But well, so the story of Bloodborne is really like hidden in the margins. It's in the fine print. So if, for example, like when like the save screens come up and there's a little description for an item, you need to actually be reading those descriptions because they actually like all kind of weave together in a way. Yeah. And if you don't know that in advance and you're like, great, skip, bye, you can miss a lot.
And that's one of the things too that I think was also in my corner for this, with the people in chat helping me out, is to explain some of these things when I was like, what? This makes no sense, and it was a lot of things because it is, and it's one of those things too, where the gameplay did surpass the typical pitfalls for me of the story not being something that I necessarily am tied to, but then also the undirectionedness of it, the undirectedness of it, whatever that word needs to be.
No,
but
I like the undirectionness of it. That's a good one.
That like I normally fell into with Dark Souls and, Breath of the Wild. But having, people there to kind of be like, no, go here, go check this part out, giving me those tips really helped push that away. Because I think that probably would have been frustrating. And I think there were a few places that I did get pretty much like, I literally have nowhere else, don't know where to go. Like I had gone through the areas and then somebody's like, oh, go to this one part of the map, travel 500 feet behind this rickety building, take a left, go to a big stump. Now at this big stump, you're going to want to go right because you're going to see a big gate that says enter here. But no, you want to crawl under a rock that's directly behind you 5 feet. And there you're going to find this pathway to this new area. I was like, oh, of course, I should have known that.
It's so obvious.
And so there was a little bit of that. But again, the gameplay for me overcame all of that by spades. And of course, as I did pick up stories that it's like along the way and, kind of like understood a little bit more of what was happening.
So we're not worried about spoilers here because Bloodborne is literally a 10 plus year game. Yeah. So I want you to tell me like, what is your understanding of the story? Like based on what you do know.
Basically from, this is from in-game and post-game research. Basically, there are two schools of thought back with ye olden days, the Healing Church and somebody else who started doing studies on this monster blood that just started showing up in the city, or hunts, I don't remember what. And then people started drinking this blood to see like, hey, what the fuck's this going to do to me? And
how people do.
Just how people do.
They just want to fuck
mysterious
around and find
magical
out.
blood, and they're like, yeah, sure, let's see what this does.
Let's just do shots.
And so it's basically like they're the two schools, and so like the Healing Church tries to use it for good, the other place is using it to try to like figure out how to understand it to unlock the secrets of the universe. I think both go south, and the blood causes people to turn into horrendous monsters and mutate.
I see.
And then there's something about like giant like Lovecraftian horror monsters that called amygdalas that are like making people see things that aren't there, and then you suddenly find them and see them later. Then there's a baby. A moon. I don't know. All I know is I fought the final boss and I was like, sure, that makes complete sense as who I would fight. I don't know who's Murgo and what's her wet nurse. It's this creature.
It's a good question.
It's all this stuff. So like I picked up the pieces, and so all these bosses that I'm fighting are like, important figures of these two schools. And I know like the one guy who you fight like near the very end, Malaki, the guy who's like the like, he keeps being like, give us eyes, Rom. Stop talking like that to you while you're chasing him around this like labyrinth area. He was like the head of one part of it, and then you meet somebody. Again, I don't know. I couldn't tell you like names. All I know
honestly,
is that you just wake up.
I get it.
In this place after you die, or not after you die, but you can like go back to your hub world, which is like the hunter's dream, where you can do your leveling up. You can equip runes. You can repair your weapons because of course you do have weapon degradation over time, and and basically make purchases, buy items and equipment, travel to new areas.
Fine-tune your build.
We'll
talk
all
more
that
about
jazz.
that in mechanics.
And so, you go through there. There's the dude who like runs that area who like Gunther, maybe is his name.
Sure.
I don't know.
I don't know enough to correct you. We'll call him Gunther.
And you kind of like, he's like the institution of this group of people called hunters who basically go into Yharnam and everything to basically hunt these horrid monsters and creatures that are taking over the city.
Gunther the Hunter?
That'd be hilarious, but I don't think it is.
Very funny.
I think it starts with a G. I don't remember.
It's probably Gerald.
But anyway, so that is to the best of my understanding what the hell Bloodborne's about.
You know what? Solid try.
Right? Like, I feel like that was pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good effort. I mean, going in blind and like not knowing any of the lore from any of the many, which is kind of a feat. Like the fact that you managed to avoid all of the information about Bloodborne over the years as far as like its story goes. That's
Just
pretty
because
impressive.
I was not thinking I was ever going to be into like a Soulsborne again, so it just wasn't really in my purview. You know, I would see stuff about it and be like, oh yeah, cool, that looks
I'll leave
fun.
that
That
over
looks
there.
hard though, but I'm not going to mess with that. But no, so you know, story stuff we don't necessarily have to talk about that much because I'm not really going to have a ton to know. It is one of the things though that I will say, and I didn't necessarily realize this is a case, and it doesn't make me upset. Again, it's a buck of a trend that I've had, where this game has multiple endings, you know, and you can do various things throughout the game to determine what ending you'll get. You can make some choices at the end game to choose, you know, to have some final variation there into what the end of the game is. But normally that's something that if I didn't know the game had multiple endings and I get to the end, that kind of is annoying. Blasphemous was a game for me that did that, where that game was so hard.
I remember.
I, you know, fought and spilled blood, tears, sweat, all of it trying to beat that game. Like, talk about like a Soulsborne adjacent experience.
I was about to say, I remember when you finished Blasphemous, we were all kind of like, man, you're good enough to finish any hard game.
And Fallen and Jedi games, I was kind of like, okay, maybe I can do this for real. But I got to the end of Blasphemous and got the bad ending, and not realizing that there was ever going to be a good or bad ending, or what steps I would have taken along the way to divert that. And that was honestly frustrating and kind of a put off a little bit to the game, because I was like, I did all this and I didn't even get the ending that like I really was supposed to get. Well, there's no way in hell I'm going back to try to get the right ending.
And especially with Blasphemous, good lord.
Yes. Opposite with Bloodborne.
Yeah.
It finished
Okay.
and I got like I got the ending. The ending I got is that I killed I got Murgo's wet nurse as that final boss, you know, once you get to through all the like Nightmare of Mensis and all that stuff. And then you know, you go back to the Hunter's Dream. The old dude in the who's like the head of the Hunters basically gives you a deal of like, I can kill you and you'll wake up and this will all be over. You know,
Okay.
and this nightmare's over, you know, and kind of thing. And you can accept that or say no. If you say no, you actually wind up fighting him. Ooh. And then, you know, basically if you kill him, taking over his place as the head of the Hunters. Oh. I didn't know what was going to be there. So I chose again to just accept his offer. So, you know, he kills me, wakes up in the world's new again kind of thing. Or actually you just wake up in ISF's clinic again at the very beginning of the game and it like starts over. Oh. So you're kind of like, wait, was I lied to? Like, is this just a never ending nightmare?
Gotcha.
You know, which was kind of fun. But again, there was enough to this game that I was like, oh shit. Like, I want to see now. I had enough fun fighting all the big bosses and all the random scrub enemies in between that I was like, man, I do want to go back to this, see if I can do these fights even better. Like, can I beat Father Gascoigne in like 3 tries as opposed to 30?
And find the fights you didn't find the first time.
Exactly. And then probably also take the DLC route, go through there.
Good idea.
Because I know I missed obviously all of that because I haven't played it yet. And people have told me throughout the whole thing of that's literally the best part of Bloodborne. And I was like, rude to lock it behind a DLC.
Right,
where
so
here I am
lame.
struggle busting through the base game. But still, it was enough where I was like, oh man. And the game ended. And I even was like, you can go back and watch it on the streams and stuff like that. That like, it was, the stream was literally, I was finishing the game and it ended. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, I can do this again. Like, but up until that point, I'd been like, I'm ready to be done and I'm ready to play something new. But then it ended and I was like, oh, I can start up another run right now. So it's like, it totally hooked and got its hooks in me. So like I said, now I'm like, yeah, let's bring it on. Let's try out a few more. We were talking about like Neo. Well, because Sekiro and all that stuff, because in the Discord today, friend of the show, Snooty Boots, has been doing like a Soulsborne marathon, playing all of the games. And he put up the most impressive tier list of all of the bosses.
It is visually
massive. You have to like open it in a browser and stuff like this for all the different stuff that there is.
I'm not going to do that right now, but it is, I mean, like I'm squinting at it because it's so huge.
Tier list of all the bosses across the Soulsborne series and in order in which you fight them. He was explaining this to me and I was like, my God. We're going to have to share this on the social media because it is too impressive. But like, you know.
Should we do a video response roasting his list? Like go through and decide whether or not. Well,
if I knew what they were.
What you could do, though, is you could go through here and decide where you would put the Bloodborne bosses.
Oh, that's
because
true.
he very handily labeled all of them. So all of the ones that
The
are
amount of
Bloodborne,
organization is
you can just
fantastic.
go in there and find these. Maybe just ask Snooty Boots if he can like share the link with you, because he might be able to. It might be
like,
something that he
edit it
can
and stuff
share
like that.
out, and then you could just like look at it yourself and like filter
Maybe.
for just the blood, like make a copy and just the Bloodborne ones.
Yeah, that would be good to like go and rank that. That would be something. But yeah, it's an impressive list. But you know,
Massive.
it just shows all the games that I could yet still try in this series. But
What
you know.
immediately caught my eye about Snoots Maboots' list is that at the very bottom there's a different section called "Didn't Fight," which just shows you how much of the like there are parts of these games, Bloodborne included,
Yeah.
where there's a lot of content that is purely optional. You know, you can go
And
the
that you can
entire
just-
game without ever interacting or fighting a substantial amount of the bosses,
or even knowing that they exist.
yeah.
And that was one of the things too that I will say about this game. You know, the exploration of it is like, I was making fun of it earlier with how you find these like secret passages and trails to get to places, but like for real, it rewards exploration big time, and in ways that you wouldn't expect. It may be, oh, cool, here's some items. Oh, sweet, a new armor set or some outfits. But yeah, if you like take a random corner that's hidden behind a bush that you don't see, and then all of a sudden here's this huge new area, it's so just like, oh wow, and it really like kind of takes you, like makes you respect the world building, because all of this is directly connected to each other and stuff like that. Like you can go and like make your way through all of the worlds of this game from like point A to point B. You don't have to fast travel, basically. You can to make it easy, obviously, but like you could potentially work your way from like Old Yarnum, Central Yarnum, whatever, through the Forbidden Forest to all these different places. And it's all this one like huge connected map. Very, very cool. I find, you know, that that it has this level. And like I said, if you want to explore and go through every nook and cranny, you can, and you're going to find cool stuff because you did it. You're also going to find really hard stuff. And so, you know, that you're going to have, that's going to be some hard fights. And also too, it was one of those things, especially near, you know, a part of that to what you're saying is that you find all these fights and everything that you might not know of. And the thing is the game does not tell you if those bosses are actually integral to the story or not, or if you're even on the right path. So there was a point near the end of the game, especially, where I kept fighting these bosses and be like, this is the end. It's got to be. And then
Every time
your
you
brother
think
was like, nah, that's an optional.
that's
And I was
not
like,
him.
are you kidding me? This was so hard. And you're telling me it's just optional? I'm not even going the right way?
Hilarious.
It is hilarious.
Classic Bloodborne.
But and it really is. It's just, it's like, I knew that it was going to be like a wild ride in the fact that the fighting and everything was going to be so difficult. But I really just, I was expecting how hands off the game is. And again, I think had I tried doing this on my own and going through it, I would have probably got overwhelmed by it and frustrated and been like, nah, never mind. And
So the
streaming is what I think really pushed me through it. Yeah,
Nice.
for sure. And you know, now I think going into one of those games, I won't have that same hesitation or fear about it and just be able to maybe work my way through it a little bit better. But let's talk about some stuff. I know I've talked about the combats and all that stuff.
So I have a question.
Sure.
So this is an 11-year-old game, right? And we've been constantly joking about how it's the not remastered version.
Right. It's
Meaning
base level.
It's the base level version. So I've been really curious to know, have you found that you have struggles or any sort of like persistent performance issues that negatively impacted your play?
There were a few, but I don't think like very many. Man, I'm trying to think of what it was. Mostly, I think in just some jankiness and like lock on stuff. Again, I know we were talking about that with Veilguard, but just kind of with that is, especially for me, very helpful to be able to like quickly like skip and like have that lock on attack and all that stuff. So I just felt like some of that was, I don't know, just some age and like not as refined as what you would see in like a current game, but nothing where it felt game breaking by any means. I mean, the game still, it's one of those games that I think, like I was talking about with Veilguard's art style last episode, it doesn't necessarily age. It is not a bad looking game by any stretch, even though it's 11 years old. Like the design and even honestly too, the performance, like graphical performance of some of these creatures and how much there is just shit happening.
There are a lot.
It's
all
like,
of the monsters are so much.
very extra, doing the most. And it, and there's just a lot of action on screen. There's a lot of moving materials. There's a lot of flashing lights and things happening. And I was just honestly impressed that like an 11-year-old game, like I didn't notice like drops in performance and like frame rate issues or anything. It runs great. I know people are wishing that it would be the full 60 FPS, and it's not at that point yet, but still it ran great. And then I was streaming it mostly on my PS4, just, I'm not, again, having to haul PS5 in and out of rooms and stuff like that. But I did actually then put it on the PS5. I was like, oh my God, this is how I should have been playing it, because it was even more like refined and streamlined. And for being the base game, I was like, damn, it's pretty good. It runs well. It holds up.
And even though all of the monsters are, in a word, icky,
yes.
the backgrounds and the environments of Bloodborne, like
so
all
haunting.
of that environmental art is so like excellent gothic grotesquerie.
Oh, yeah.
It is so good. It's good stuff.
Very, very good. And I really don't know, like at this point, it's so much, it's kind of hard to like want it to dive in and pick apart all the various parts of it, because obviously the big thing, what really, and probably the last thing really that I do want to focus on is just like the combat of it and like how that works and everything like that, because that is what hooked me into this so well and so much. It's more precise than anything I've ever done in anything that I had to fight. I got a taste of that with Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, and all that stuff. But just the extent of how like precise your dodges have to be, your like even specifically like sometimes most games like dodging any direction works, but this one, some attacks, if you dodge to the wrong direction, you'll still get hit.
Yeah,
there's you can have different weapons at your arsenal. I went with the hunter axe base, the like main weapon I think that you start off with.
The big long one.
Yeah. I did mess around a little bit with Kirk hammer, I think is the like sword with like you can put like a big like anvil hammer on it and then use it. It was okay, but like it just didn't have quite the like stagger that I needed when facing certain enemies. There was the rifle saw spear, which was so like a spear. I didn't really use that one that much. And I think there was like some like it was like rifle snocked or something like that. Some kind of like spear rifle combination. I didn't really stick with that one much either.
Sweet.
But the game has like you have your standard light attack that if you go through a sequence, you'll do like a 3-4 swing attack that has like usually a stronger like final finish. You can do a charged attack to do like a really heavy swing that'll do really impactful damage. You have a thing at your disposal, the parry system, which are called, oh crap, I'm completely blanking on what that's called when you get the parry. It's the special kind of hit.
A critical hit?
I mean, yes, that visceral hit, I think is maybe what they call them in this one, where you get to do like you'll do like a perfect parry. It'll make this like sound, and the enemy will be like staggered and frozen, and you get to do like a really big like wind up extra hit that does like insane amounts of damage. But getting those parry windows, it's so tiny. The window of opportunity, you have you have to hit it at the right time. You have to be at the right angle, and all these things have to be just perfect. And it varies. That window of timing varies for every single opponent. Some opponents, it makes no sense to try. Others, that is the best way to get them done is to be hitting those visceral attacks. And so it's just a lot of that. And so you have your combos, you can do these parries, running in these dodges, but the big thing, and I've talked about a little bit already, is your stamina management, which, oh my God, I was just not prepared for that challenge.
Funny. So first of all, it's funny that you say you weren't prepared for the challenge, because if you watched any of Jerrett's stream, just incredible how he will dodge in he'll dodge into the boss, no stamina left, and just go in there fucking ham swing.
And it works. I mean, I beat the game
every time.
I probably could have done a little bit faster, but still, like the point is made. It's a valid strategy.
It was incredible, and seasoned Bloodborne players would be in the chat just
in the back,
raging.
just like, oh, what is he doing?
Just seething at the air quotes suboptimal play, but it didn't hold Jerrett back.
Well, no, but like it was helpful to know, because I've played games with stamina bars before, so I'm like familiar with the concept of them, but just like how important like a misstep of stamina management when even fighting a base scrub enemy can have disastrous effects. Because like is typical with these games, you will go off from a starting point, from a checkpoint, lantern in this case, and if you die, along the way you collect souls echoes from the enemies that you kill, and those are what you use to level up your character, buy new things, different stuff like that. The currency of the game, one of the currencies.
Your Bleckos.
Yeah, and so, but if you die, you have one chance to make it back to that spot and retrieve those echoes. If you die in the process of that chance, you lose all of those. So obviously, depending on what areas you would get, there were times when I had like 30, 40,000 echoes. Scared shitless the whole time. Just like sitting there, butt clenched, just trying to get through
sitting on your
without dying.
horde of souls.
Because it's just so scary. Like, this is enough to level me up like 2 times. If I die, this could set me back so long. And it's just one of those things of like, so like it makes every fight a do or die situation. And so like that level of intensity is present throughout the game. And, again, this game does not give you like a guidebook, really. Everything that you come across, you're going to have to figure out, how do I beat this? How do I do this? Like, I remembered it was one of the things from Doom Eternal that I wasn't like thrilled about with how they handled the gameplay is right before like a new enemy type would come out, they'd be like, pause the game. Here's a screen saying you're about to fight like the like brain spider thing. It has a weak spot on its tail, and it's just like, why are you doing this?
Yeah,
don't tell me. Let me have this mystery. And so I don't know. Like, I kind of feel like I'm starting to kind of all say the same thing about this because like I said, it's so in-depth and massive, all the different things in systems and stuff with this game, because you can find items that will give you different benefits, boosts. Some of the items, like I got these poison tip throwing knives and I was like, this will be awesome. Those were trash. Who uses those? Because they just like basically tickle your enemies and do like 3 damage and then like maybe tick like 1 away. And I'm like, he has 5,000 health. Thank you. This is doing a lot for me.
That piece of paper that created electricity.
Yeah.
That was great.
That was great. Bolt paper, fire paper, like all these things to add different like elemental effects to your weapons and your attacks that you can use, because obviously certain beasts, like the general beasts of this game, are very susceptible to fire. Others are more susceptible to electricity, different stuff like that. So you have to like change your loadouts and your situations based on what you have. Some enemies can make you poisoned and you have to have stamina. Make sure you have not stamina. It's like a pill, antidotes, to be able to cure that. You can get frenzied, which if your frenzy bar fills all the way, you like explode basically and like die. So you have to like have this like thing to basically calm you down. You have to like, stick yourself with it. So you have to have all this different stuff to help you. And it's just like trying to figure out and piece all these things together. And I know, and that's kind of honestly why I'm like, Bloodborne deserves a second run, because I want the game to make more sense.
And now like you have a much broader foundation now to keep building on.
Well, because there's also like there are the chalice trial things that I didn't really get into, all that stuff, or didn't really mess with it all. Like I said, there's still the DLC for me to go after too. But I think really and kind of wrap all of this up, and my thoughts on Bloodborne is it's just it caused me to really, look at a game from outside of everything that I've really gone at, to force me to overcome a lot of my tendencies, and like button mashing especially. And I know I didn't like get down to that. My stamina management was not great throughout the whole game. There were times it was better, but for the most part, not great.
I liked your method.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It brought me great personal joy.
But all about it, I just don't think I've played a game that presented so much unexpected variety that literally let me going. Like I would go into each new space and just kind of be like, what the fuck is this game going to throw at me now? And it would be wild, wacky shit. Like, the video that I made of walking in the room, all the spiders.
The viral spider
absolutely
room.
Terrifying.
Yep.
But then, there's the moments of like when I was getting near to the end of the game and there's just like the bloody like bride just standing there screaming. And then you're like, you're fighting this baby's wet nurse. And like the whole time you're hearing these terrible screams of a baby going on and like all this. It's just like, what is happening? It's kind of like Dante's Inferno, that game, when like the possessed like demon babies came at you the first time. Oh my God. It was just that just over and over and over again.
Oh my
so
God.
I think it was just such an unexpected experience that it really cemented itself as one of the like best games that I've played.
Ooh,
because it is just like
bold words.
I mean,
I mean,
really,
not controversial.
like,
most people agree that Bloodborne
so
is an
brave.
excellent game. Why would you say something so controversial?
I know,
and yet so
I know.
brave?
It takes a lot to have the courage to say such a thing on a podcast in a public forum like this. But it is really that it just the sense of achievement is literally one that I like. Has not been like, I was like, oh my God, there's like beating a game like The Last of Us and you're sitting there, you're just like, oh my God, wow, what a game. But that's more because that's story. This game, you're just sitting there and like, I just fought so hard for tens of hours. And there are hundreds more that I could potentially do to this. And if literally every time you pick up that game, it could play different than the time before. Yeah. You could try to run it fairly similarly with same layouts and everything like that. But just the amount of variety, the amount of what the fuck, the amount of that's new, that's cool. And just I think the overall newness of the whole experience is what really solidified it for me. And so now I am excited to really try out the other ones like Elden Ring. I might give a shot at. I know there's that new one coming out. I know it's not FromSoft, but that Phantom Blade Zero, I think, coming out later this year. Looks like it could be pretty good. Wukong maybe gives Neo a shot. It basically just opened up a whole new genre. And so that's exciting.
That's very exciting.
Because that
means whole new genre of games.
With a whole huge backlog as proven by Snooty Boots' example here. Like there's a lot there and a lot new to explore.
I mean, speaking of late to the game, now we're ready to be late to all these other games.
Oh my God. I could just, this has levels and layers. And so it was just an experience that I was nervous about at first. And I had my trepidations about going into it. But once I got into it, it was one of the more rewarding gaming experiences I've had. And so I think for that alone, like Bloodborne obviously holds up. And, and I'm just agreeing with what everybody else has already said all this time since the game came out. But what a fucking game. And
still, congratulations. You done it.
Thank you.
You beat a really hard game.
It is a very big badge of honor that I can add to my list, very short list of big gaming achievements. So
nice.
Bloodborne, it's a great game. Don't expect an easy time. But if you're there for a hard time and a challenging time, but an incredibly rewarding time, Bloodborne's the game for you.
Maybe have a few friends in the back pocket.
Yeah, that might be good. Some backseat really gaming is very, very helpful.
Get a couple of friends.
Would be good. That would be good. So yeah, if you haven't played Bloodborne, I'm sure there are a lot of people who aren't as late to the game as I am and have already played this game and enjoyed it. And it was super fun getting to talk to everybody about it while I was playing it. But of course, if you have played Bloodborne, any other Souls games really, and you want to tell us about them, well, we would love to hear from you. So send us an email at teamchatpodcast@gmail.com. Comment below wherever you're listening to or watching the show. Or, of course, join our Discord and talk about it with us there. We would love to have you.
You can share your boss tier lists with us. We love this shit.
Yeah, we have a whole channel now dedicated to the Soulsborne games with...
With this ring, I thee wed, because it was Elden Ring themed. So I was like, haha, this amuses
Incredible.
me.
I love that the channel name. So, we got a lot of stuff. We love talking about the Soulsborne, big community games over there. So, like I said, we'd love to hear from you. But with that, I think this concludes this episode of Team Chat Podcast. Until next time, everybody, I'm one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined to my right by Rachel Mogan.
Adios.
We hope you have a good rest of your week, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.